Hi, you guys. Happy Monday. We're going to have mat class this morning. We're going to do some good core warm up, and we're going to relate that to things in the lower body and the legs with a lot of our side leg series, and you'll see as we get there. You should have something for the inner thighs, a block or a ball or rolled up towel, maybe some weights for your hands as we do just a normal postural warm up, and possibly a flex band. But I'll tell you at any point when we need those things. We'll start lying down and we'll be in a neutral posture. Go ahead and bend the knees so that the soles of the feet are flat to the floor. And then have the feet a comfortable distance away from the hips so that you don't feel like the back of your hips is being pushed upward. The low back is neutral rather than flat. Right? The hips themselves could just sort of settle and widen. Relax the belly wall, soften through the chest, the throat, the underside of the jaw. And just have a couple of long breaths in and out, really about a half dozen. And get a sense of both the movement of breath and the feeling it creates internally. Inhales drawn downward toward the hips, and exhales lifting upward. With the action of the diaphragm at the bottom of the ribs, inhales moving downward as the diaphragm contracts downward. And then lightly contract pelvic floor and feel that support for the base of the exhale as the exhale moves up through the crown. And you keep that going. Of course, the lungs are within the rib cage, but the breathing apparatus, really the engine of the breath, resides between the floor of the pelvis and the bottom of the ribs. I'm talking about your transversus. It does wrap sideways around you, like the waistband of your clothing. It's a very tall muscle. At the base of the pelvis, it integrates with pelvic floor. And at the top of that muscle, it integrates with the respiratory diaphragm. So you get this beautiful synergy with regard to the breath work. Let's have about a minute more. Exhale, releasing all the breath, allowing the belly wall to remain soft and supple on the outside. And then on your inhale, engage pelvic floor here as well and feel the breath being pulled down through the base of the ribs, the back and the sides of the rib cage gently flaring outward at the bottom edge. And then exhale, pelvic floor lifting to the interior of the pelvis as the breath lifts through the crown of the head. 4 more breath cycles like that. Inhales moving downward. And exhales moving upward. Remaining soft externally through the belly wall and through the hips, also through the chest and the shoulders. 1 more round of breath, please, just focusing on this internal breath support and connection. We'll continue with a round of imprint and release, so a little bit of movement through our center, through the lower back. Breathe in to prepare for that. With your Kegel in place and with the exhale moving upward through the crown, begin to draw the low back toward the mat, hollowing the low belly muscles, contracting the surface abs to the interior, tail stretching long. Hold here this morning as you inhale. Kegel. Exhale and release, returning to neutral. Prepare again with an inhale. Exhale, make your imprint. Not only the core internally, but the surface abs in the low belly contracting in and back, in and back. And then on your next exhale, release to neutral. Feel that abdominal contraction on the surface subsiding as the core connection remains intact. Do 2 more, please. One more repetition, being very careful that it's the abdominal muscles moving the spine rather than the legs pushing the pelvis. And when you've returned to neutral, pause. Put whatever's between your knees off to the side. And pick up one foot at a time and just hug the knees to the chest. So we hug the knees in. You can take a little roll side to side. All right, you can make little circles with the legs, whatever feels good to you. Right, if you like lifting the head up and bending the upper spine forward, you can do that. Just take half a moment here to stretch. And then when you've had that chance to stretch, go ahead and return to a centered position and place one foot at a time down onto the ground. Pelvis returns to neutral. Please put the block or whatever you're using back in between the knees and grab your weights. Once you've got your weights, you've got your block, extend the arms forward toward the ceiling. And do that little orientation with the shoulder girdle. So it's pretty informal. Think of sliding the shoulders forward toward the chest and then pulling them back toward the spine. Do that a couple of times, just keep breathing and gradually begin to sense where the boundaries of your range of movement are and where that sweet spot in the middle is. You find your neutral where there's no tug on the neck or the jawline. There's no pressure through the bottom of the ribs. And then go ahead and just once bend the elbows, dropping the hands back toward the shoulder tops. Release the shoulder tops and the neck, and then firm the triceps and exhale, extend the arms forward. Keep the arms extended forward and the triceps active. And now on your inhale, reach the arms back. Begin your exhale, and then about a third of the way into the exhale, go ahead and return with the arms. And we continue with this 2-breath pattern. Reach slowly back with your inhale. Kegel, exhale, feel the core connection traveling upward to stabilize the ribs as you return the arms. We're going to do about 3 more of these. Please take your time. Feel the weight of the arms carried by the muscles in your core, assisted by the breath connection. Slowly stretch back one more time, inhaling, allowing the breath into the bottom of the side ribs, and then exhale and return. Go ahead and place your arms all the way down, and you can release your weights if you like, but again, keep them nearby. Have a breath in. And on your exhale, return to your imprint. Once you've got your imprint, we don't want to use the block here just yet. We do want to prepare for tabletop just by loosening up the hips. And we're going to do a little thing for the feet. So I'll get my feet in the screen here. Keeping your imprint, I'd like you to exhale and lift your heels up, coming all the way to the point of the toes. Inhale, and then exhale, articulating through the toes, through the arch, lowering into the heel. Have a breath here. Exhale, and again, rolling up through the heel, onto the tips of the toes. Inhale in place, and then exhale, roll down to the ball of the foot and plant the heels. Have your block and your weights within reach. We're still imprinted, but we're going to take it into a tabletop movement. Prepare for that by exhaling and coming onto the tips of the toes. When you've got that, take a breath. Begin your exhale, and about a third of the way into it, lift one set of toes from the ground, floating the leg up into tabletop. If you like, you can even stabilize that leg lightly with the same sided hand, We'll exhale and lift second leg as well. And once the legs are up, try with a block for me this morning between the knees. The weights are in the hands and we'll reach the arms forward. We'll do a second set of arm reaches here, but only moving on the exhale breath. Prepare with an inhale, point the toes a little bit more, feel it in your arches. And exhale, reach the arms back. Hold the reach of the arms. Breathe in, get longer through the back of the pelvis. And then exhale and return. You guys, a spider is coming down on me, so I'm gonna move. I'd like you to keep going. Exhale, reach the arms back. Hold for a breath. And then exhale, please return. 2 more repetitions. Exhale, reach back. Inhale, take the breath down through the base of the hips. Point your toes more firmly and connect the lower body to the support for your spine as you exhale and return. And please do 1 more. Place the arms down by your sides. And just once before removing the block or lowering your feet, Kegel, exhale, begin closing the inner thighs more firmly around the block and lengthening your spine from your head to your tail. Get a release through the spine and affirming through the inner thighs. Inhale here. And then exhale, sigh, relax the throat and the shoulders. Go ahead and put the block off to the side. And exhale, lower 1 foot and then the other. Return to neutral. Breathe in and breathe out. Good. So go ahead and drop the knees to each side, both to the same direction. Sorry about the spider. The hazard of live video classes. Return to center. And then with or without the block, we're going to go ahead and bend forward through the upper body. So it'll be ab prep. Yeah, your choice whether you use the block at this point. Sometimes it's an interesting experiment to put the block between your feet. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. So we're once more lying in neutral in a place where the legs aren't causing the low back to be pushed or pulled into any other position than neutral. I'd like you to take your hands behind the head. As you take your hands behind your head, you are in essence lifting up your arms just like you did in arm reaches. So be sure to connect the ribs downward through the length of the waist. We'll use that rib connection downward when we bend forward. Prepare for that forward bend by inhaling and nodding the chin toward the chest. And then exhale, connect into the bottom of the ribs and glide the bottom of the ribs down toward the top of the pelvis. Hold here, inhale, Kegel. Feel the feet into the ground, begin exhaling and lower slowly, stretching that connection of the ribs until you're able to rest your shoulders and head back. Nod the chin to the chest as you inhale. Feel the feet firmly in the ground. Squeeze the block from that grounding and then exhale, bend forward. Feel an integration of connection from the legs into the length of your torso. Inhale here and exhale to lower. Please do 4 more. Continue with the same pattern, nodding with your inhale, taking your time with that breath connection, and as you bend forward, remain aware of your feet, engaged lightly in the inner thighs. 3 more, please. When you bend forward too, feel that you're stretching the shape of your spine around the curve that it's making. So we're not trying to push our backs or shoulders forward with the muscles beneath. We're gently stretching and then lifting the upper body forward with the muscles in the front, in the belly. Pardon me. One more, please. Good. When you've lowered down, go ahead and roll over to one side or the other, and we're going to do some spinal rotation from side lying. So here too, you can use a block or something between the inner thighs if that's helpful or comfortable for you. Before we actually do the larger twist, we're going to do a little sort of test of the core in a side lying position. So that's another reason why you might want to have a block between the knees. Place a hand on your low belly. We want a neutral spine. So you're not looking down at a computer or at your knees. You're looking forward. Relax the external part of the belly. Inhale, Kegel, and then lightly begin to squeeze the block. Begin your exhale. Feel that belly wall moves inward as the exhale continues. Pause before inhaling. Feel under the surface that enduring connection upward. And then inhale and draw the breath down through the space between the sitting bones. We lightly squeeze the block. We'll Kegel. And again, feel the exhale moving upward and connecting our legs to the larger part of our spine. Pause for a moment before inhaling. And then do that inhale. One more exhale, and we'll use it as preparation for the twist. On your inhale, turn your head upward and lift your top arm. Kegel, squeeze the block. Exhale, begin twisting through the lower part of the waist, the middle waist, the bottom of the ribs, allowing the shoulder to open. Inhale here. Kegel. Exhale. And return. 3 more times, please. So quite a few repetitions of this. We lift the head on the inhale, lift the arm, rather, turn the head. And exhale, move into your twist. Relax the outer margin of the hips and get into the inner thighs. Hold for a breath and exhale, return. Do 2 more. Lifting the arm, turning the head. Feel that opening spiral from the top down. Return. And 1 more. From your center in your pelvis, feel relationship upstream into your rotation and downstream into the stability and stack of the legs. When you've returned from this one, you can go ahead and roll to your other side. And I'll wait for you so you don't have to rush. And it might seem tedious, but on the other side, I would like you to also take a couple of breaths and find that connection in side lying. Once you're there, a hand lightly on the belly and a block or something between the knees, perhaps. Breathe in. Relaxing belly wall lined up in neutral. Exhale, feel the inner thighs gathering around the block. Kegel and release the breath upward. Pause before inhaling and feel what's going on under the surface, connect it through, and then breathe in. Exhale again. Breath relating upstream through the crown and downstream through the inner thighs. Point your toes. Pause, and then inhale. Use this next exhale as preparation for the twist. And then as you inhale, turn your head as you lift the top arm and begin opening. The hips and the knees are still stacked, lower body is stable. You exhale and return with a light squeeze inward through inner thighs, but no press inward from the outer hips. So make a distinction there. We have 4 repetitions on the second side. As you return from rotation, feel that the belly muscles are pulling the weight of your arm, your ribs, your shoulder back, rather than the back muscles pushing all of that forward. When you've done your 4th one, your last one, you rest for a moment. And we'll all lie on our backs again. Block between the feet or the knees. And we continue through hip rolls. So lie down and really organize the legs. We're going to be bearing weight through the lower body, so we want to make sure that we've got good alignment, good mechanics through the movement. We'll start just by exhaling here in neutral and feel the feet's relationship to the ground. Inhale downward in the direction of the feet, and from the feet, exhale, begin to activate inner thighs, pelvic floor, and move into your imprint. We'll stop at the imprint with the first one. In your imprint, take a breath in, and then exhale, feel the spine lengthening through the tail as well as through the crown as you continue rolling a couple more vertebrae up. At that point, again, pause, and we're beginning to extend the hips. In essence, we're going to try and bring the thigh bones back and the pelvis forward. When you do that, don't push your thighs back and jam your pelvis forward. Instead, from underneath the feet and the hamstrings, pull the thighs down into ground as your abs begin to lift the front of the pelvis forward. Now, at a certain point, your glutes are going to finish off that movement, again, acting from below, until you're in your neutral hip extension as well as your neutral spine. Inhale here. Keep that neutral hip extension, the involvement of the back chain of the legs and the low belly, and begin to roll down. Release resistance from the shoulders and the neck. Pull the hamstrings toward the calves, and then begin to stretch or release the work of the glutes. The work of the hamstrings subside, and the belly stretches as the spine returns to neutral. And I'd like you to do 3 more of these. Continue when you're ready. You no longer need to pause at those various stages, right? Just feel that you hit the imprint. You can feel that the back of the legs are working with the low belly, and you're not tightening the quads in an effort to push the hips up. You're pulling up, pulling up. Engaging the hamstrings toward the calves like you're pulling them together will help keep you out of over-activating the quads with this motion. Or we'll make it more likely. Continue last couple repetitions. When you've returned from your last one, go ahead and put the block off to the side. Come to hands and knees. We'll do some cat stretches, and we'll take it into a little bit of extension as well. Sometimes I like to use the block between my knees. It's not mandatory, but it's a thing you can do. In your neutral spine, you're going to find that sequential articulation. We're always starting both movements from the bottom of the spine, so our physical center. Balance the shoulders. Take a long breath in. Kegel, exhale, and start at the base of your spine, moving through that same hip roll motion that you just did, only now you're on your hands and knees. We'll pause in that fully flexed position. Inhale here, and then exhale, return to neutral, starting with the pelvis. Opening through the chest, squaring through the shoulders, the ribs are aligned, and now we inhale and extend the top of the chest forward and upward, contracting the bottom of the shoulder blades down and together. Release, and do that just twice more. Rounding from the bottom of the spine upward. Having a breath there, and then lengthening out to neutral. We're keeping our core, we're stretching our abs. We continue to find that dual support as we inhale and extend. Really open the chest. And do one last time, please. Before we leave hands and knees, we'll go ahead and return to neutral, right? And we're gonna stretch a leg out. So again, I'll give you a little bit of a picture of that. If you need to be on your fist and straighten your wrists out, you can do that. If you had a block between your knees, put it off to the side. And on a long, slow exhale as you connect your core, stretch one leg back and come on to the ball of the foot. Kind of push a little forward and back, activating that foot into the ground. And then with your weight centered between your hands and your single knee, go ahead and push off the floor, pointing that toe. Bring the leg up to what feels like neutral, right? Neutral hip extension. On your inhale, you're going to flex that foot and bend the knee just a little. And on your exhale, again, reach to that neutral point. Inhale, flex and bend a little. Try to preserve the hip extension. It might drop a little. And then exhale, reach. Clear shot all the way through. One more. Inhale, bend. Exhale, reach. Hold the leg here. And now take the opposite arm forward. We stay here and breathe for about a half a minute. So it's a bird dog position or a swimming prep position. About 10 more seconds. Keep connecting it through not only that one side into the leg, but into the opposite arm and shoulder. One more breath in and out. And then exhale, go ahead and bring the hand and knee back in and sit back for a moment. You can take a couple of breaths in a child's pose or in a shell stretch. Another breath in and out. And just kind of move your shoulders around. You can move your jaw around, relax your face. And of course, make your way back into hands and knees because we need to do that other side. Once you're in hands and knees, you come to your most comfortable wrist position. You might rock or shift the weight a little forward and back until you get into that place where you feel centered rather than falling front or back. Once you're there, exhale, engage your core. Feel that integration upward through the spine. And then on that next exhale, stretch the other leg back. Put the foot into the ground at first. So you have a little bit of support underneath that leg as you arrange yourself and connect into it. And then exhale, pick the leg up until it's in a neutral line with regard to that side of the body. Well, to the whole body, right? Neutral hip extension. And then go ahead and bend the knee, flexing the foot. Kegel, exhale, and stretch that leg slowly, continuing the line of the spine down the leg. Do that 2 more times, please. Inhale, bend the lifted knee, flexing the foot. Point the toes, kegel, engage from the toes through the inner thigh, through the core as you stretch. And 1 more time, please. Bending on inhale, stretching on exhale. Once you've gotten that stretch, you've lined it up and connected it, begin to reach the opposite arm forward. Try not to look forward at the fingertips that are reaching in front, but keep your gaze neutral and on the ground, on the hand that's there. Yeah, that's it, you guys. Very nice. About 15 more seconds. One more round of breath in and out. Good, and return. Hand and knee come down and sit back again into a shell stretch. In your shell stretch, of course, you want to relax the back. You can move the shoulders and the neck. If you also feel like walking your hands to one side, that's an option. It puts a little bit of a side bend into the spine. If you're taking that option, be sure you go in both directions. And then go ahead and center off and roll up. We are going to stay seated and do some half rollback. You can sit up on a layer of blanket or towel if you like, and let's put the block between the feet. Have some weights in the hands. And we want to make sure that we're starting right on top of the sitting bones. So sometimes that takes a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of moving around. Yeah. So you get right on top of the sitting bones. And we're not going to roll back yet. We're just going to do some connection into the upper body. So go ahead and extend the arms forward. Retract the shoulders and open the chest. Inhale, bend the elbows. Kegel. Exhale, slowly extend the arms and feel like the feet get a little heavier into ground, a little bit more awake. Inhale and bend the elbows, opening the chest. And then support the weight of the arms from the connection through the ribs into core. 2 more. Inhale, bend the elbows. Kegel, feet into ground. Exhale, stretch the arms. 1 more. Now, turn the elbows inward to face each other. And on the inhale, open. On the exhale, bring arms forward. We have 3 more of these as well. So we're finding that we can support, again, the weight of the arms and the shoulders from core without freezing the joints, without locking our neck. 1 more. Lower the arms. And now rotate the palms downward, fingers reaching forward. Your arms should feel super light now. Kegel, squeeze the block from the feet, feel the feet grow heavier into the floor, and as you exhale, contract the abs, pulling the front of your pelvis back away from the legs. Get a sense of your tailbone stretching under the curve of your hips. Top of the head stays tall. Inhale, Kegel, squeeze the block, and exhale, return. Continue, have a breath in. Kegel, exhale, you release into your length, and then curve. Try to smooth out that curve so there are no flat spots in the area that's flexing. Inhale, stretch the arms forward, draw the shoulders back, and exhale, return. Do 2 more, please. Rolling back. As you take that breath in, release the tightness in the inside of the chest and over the surface of the collarbones. Exhale, return. And one more time, please. Feet getting a little heavier into the ground, not pushing you back, but simply finding their weight. And then once you've returned, lower your arms. Stretch your legs away. And open the arms to the side. Palms and inside of the elbows facing forward. And the chest nice and lifted. So as we go into our twist, don't let the top of your chest shorten toward the pelvis, but keep it stretched and keep the ribs in line. Take a breath. And we do just one exhale to twist in the direction of your choice, not moving the hips or the legs. And then inhale, return through center. Exhale, twist in the other direction. And inhale, return through center. Continue this, twisting on the exhale, returning from twist on the inhale. And now the bottoms of our feet aren't on the floor, but the backs of our legs are falling in the direction of ground. And the bottom of our hips is certainly there. So feel that that secure connection into ground enables you to turn without compressing down into the spine. One more in each direction, please. And when you've returned, pause. Lower your arms. And we're going to go ahead and use this extended leg position to approach our roll down and our roll up. Now, a word about rolling down and rolling up. I'll give you some options for weights as well. We want to make sure that if you're unable to roll all the way down with good support and connection, and we're just kind of rolling or not really stable into ground, that you don't roll all the way down. So maybe you roll here and you're like, oh, okay, that's it for me. That's fine. You can roll up from there, right? For instance, or conversely, if we're down, you get about here and you're like, I can't do it without leaning to one side, then yeah, there's no need to go all the way to the end of the movement just for the sake of doing the movement, right? So having said that, we're going to start in a seated position. So maybe in the easiest place to find our core in movement. And extend the arms forward. Now I'm going to hold weights in my arms. And I'm going to have the inside of my palms facing each other rather than down, just because I like that little more open position through the shoulders. We take a breath in, and then exhale with or without the weights, but the arms stretching forward. Start to roll back. Squeeze your block. Feel the back of the legs, thighs, bottom of the hips, heavy into the ground, and then eventually the spine as well. Like hip rolls, you can take multiple breaths to finish this movement. And wherever you end, you'll inhale and maybe lift the arms back or just lift them up a little bit in space. Nod. Begin to bring the arms and the chest and the shoulders forward from the ground. And exhale. Come all the way up. And go ahead and take a stretch over. Inhale up. Now, if you're only going part of the way, it might look like this. You'll exhale, get into the legs and the feet, and you go to your stopping point. Inhale, you can lift the arms a little bit, relieve the shoulders, and then exhale, return from wherever you are. Wherever you're working, please do 2 more. So a total of 4 repetitions again. 4 is kind of the number of the day. Yes, that's it, you guys. And roll back. Or lying down if you don't roll all the way back. Just go ahead and lie down on your back. Good. Down on our backs to neutral. Bend the knees. And we do shoulder bridge. So in our neutral position, we'll find and support, and then we'll maintain neutral as we use the back of the thighs, the back of the legs, the bottom of the feet, and the back of the hips to press upward. Take a breath in. Build from your exhale into your connection, and when you're nice and stable, use the back chain of the hips and the legs to lift the pelvis from the ground, going through neutral hip extension. Inhale, Kegel, spread the feet, exhale and lower the hips. Pay attention to the coordination of the back of the hips with the lower abs. As you balance those two forces, allow the front of the hips to stretch open and the hamstrings to come into connection with the glutes. And exhale, lower. Two more, please. Prepare with a breath in. And exhale. Press up. A little breath in at the top. Exhale, lower down, feeling the folds or creases at the front of the hips soften and deepen as you relax the pelvis back to ground. And then one more time and we'll stay at the top. So once we're up, extend the arms forward. And returning to our very initial arm reach breath pattern, we'll inhale and reach the arms back as we pull the inhale toward the hips, down the legs, into the bottoms of the feet. Exhale and return. Inhale, reach back. Keep connecting into big toes and inner thighs. Opening through the outer part of the hips. Exhale, return. Just one more of these, guys. Inhale, reach back. Kegel. Exhale and return. Lower the arms down, have a breath in, and then exhale, lower the hips to ground. And roll over onto your side. On our side, you can rest your head in the crook of your elbow or on a towel or a block. We're gonna scooch up a little bit. We're gonna have our legs stretched out. Now, rather than having neutral hip extension, we're gonna have a little bit of flexion at the hips. So a little bit of an angle here, and have flexion through the ankles as well. Dorsiflexion anyway. Your gaze will be forward and neutral. I'm gonna keep kind of looking down at the computer screen to see what you're up to. We'll take a breath and stable on the side of the body with that core connection we practiced. Lift your top leg. On the inhale, swing the leg forward. And on the exhale, point and take the leg back. On the inhale, flex at the ankle and reach through your heel, take the leg forward. Exhale, point through the ankle and the toes and take the leg back. Please continue through 5 more repetitions. Inhale, bring the leg forward, holding balance on the side of the body. And then exhale, sweep the leg back, grow longer through the outside or back surface of the spine, even as you extend that hip more deeply. Last 3, please. Swinging forward, stopping short of tightening your neck or your shoulders, drawing back. And again, when you extend that leg to the back, feel that integration with that side of the body, as well as the balance support of glutes and lower abs. And then return, lower the leg down and roll over to your second side. We'll right away do that side kick on the new side or in the new direction. We've lined it up, we've got a neutral spine, and we've arranged our shoulders, our hips, so they're stacked. The legs are stretched, but they're a little bit in front of the pelvis, so we've got a little bit of a flexed angle at the hips. And the feet are flexed as well, activating the back of the legs. Kegel, exhale, dig deep into your core and lift the top leg up just to the height of your outer part of your hip. And then inhale, swing that leg forward. At the end of your range, begin your exhale, point into the toes and stretch further through the hip and the knee, pull it back. Continue, inhale, leg comes forward. And then exhale, pull it back. We have 5 more repetitions, and I want you to feel as though you're stretching through the end of each phase of the movement rather than getting to a point and stopping and going chunk, 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 right? I want it to feel like a continuous pull through the movement. That's it, last 4. Yes. Good. And when you've done your last one, we'll again lower the leg and roll over to the first side. So we'll do a staggered leg lift here on the first side. Unlike the side kick, now we do have a neutral hip extension. So we've got the legs pulling long and we're directly on the side of the hip. Ideally, we've got balance tone between the glutes and the lower abs. And when we exhale, we can feel core engaging inside and that support building up through the underside of the waist in particular, and then down into the chain of the legs. I suggest a hand on the floor just to help with balance. We prepare with an exhale here, stretching longer through that top leg. And then inhale, continue to reach through its length as you float that leg up. Keep it there, and on your exhale, lift the bottom leg as well and lower them both down together. So a lot to do on the exhale. Inhale, keep pulling through the top leg, lifting it up. And then exhale, pull long through everywhere. Lift bottom leg up, stretch inner thigh, lifting. And then finally lowering down. 5 more, please. Inhale, top leg rises. Point the toes, exhale, bottom leg rises to meet it. And then they both lower down. Last 4. And remember, we've got that top arm for balance, but it's not supposed to be a lever into the floor. So relax the side of the neck and the shoulders. Keep the chest open. Good, you guys. And when you've done your last one, relax for a moment. And we transition to second side. Okay. Legs lined up, a neutral hip extension, as well as a neutral line for the spine. The toes are pointing, everything is stretching super, super long, and you prepare with that exhale that engages your core. With your inhale, lift the top leg up, stretching it longer, not changing the spinal posture. And then Kegel and exhale, elongating through all that neutral work. Lift the bottom inner thigh up and keep squeezing both legs together as they lower. Inhale, top leg stretches out and lifts up as the breath moves down into the legs. And then exhale, Inner thighs, bottom one lifting up, squeezing into the top one, and then both legs stretching down to ground. 5 more, please. We got it. On the home stretch. Last couple. That's it. Inhaling top leg up. Exhaling bottom leg meets it. Stretching it back down. Good. Take half a minute to catch your breath. We are going to eventually lie on our backs and continue there. Let's go ahead and grab the flex band. So once you've gotten your flex band, once you're lying on your back, and again, yeah, it doesn't need to be a flex band per se. It can be just something stretchy or, yeah, pair of tights, pair of yoga pants. You're gonna have that handy. Take a breath in, and just lying in neutral, soften the belly wall, and exhale, let the core do its work. The engine for the breath is in the belly. Take a breath. And exhale, make your imprint. Back of the hips stretching longer as the tail reaches toward the space between your heels. The spine also reaching upward through the crown as the breath lifts in that direction. Longer, more stretched, more grounded. Exhale, lift a leg up, rolling off of the heel through the ball of the foot and the toes. And then same thing, second side. Exhale, rolling off the heel, ball of the foot and toes. With that, whatever your flex band is, and if you don't have one, you don't necessarily need to use it. It's just a little helpful in finding connection through the legs. And when you've got a good hold, really get a grip, pull the elbows back. So retract the shoulder blades a little bit. And then place the legs into tabletop and make sure you haven't lost your imprint. Probably keep the feet flexed, although if you can point them without losing your flex band, that's fine. Take a breath in, and then exhale, reach through the length of your legs. Inhale, bend. Kegel, exhale, reach through the length of your legs, engaging your core into the point of the feet, the stretch of the knees, the opening of the hips. Inhale, bend. Exhale, stretch through the legs. That's a lot like a reformer exercise that we do with feet in straps. And we do one more of these. Inhale, bend into the knees. And then exhale, stretch into the legs. Now keep the legs stretched. As you inhale, allow them to lift a little bit and relax the shoulders back. Get more into your Kegel and less into your neck. And then as you exhale, use the glutes and the hamstrings to pull the legs down against the flex band. Inhale, lift a little bit. Kegel, exhale, stretch the legs away and down. Two more times here, lifting a little bit. From the center through the ends, lengthening in both directions, stretching the legs down. And one more. From the lowered position, inhale, bend into the knees. Hold on to the back of your legs. Pull the knees in toward the chest, allow your tailbone to lift, and then exhale, rock forward up to sitting. Okay, you guys, almost there. So, is everybody okay with kneeling? Well, let me just say, we're gonna try a kneeling exercise, and if you need to put some extra layers of blankets under the knees, that's what we'll do. So I'll grab an extra layer of something here. We're getting there, guys. Go ahead and put a block between the knees. And I'm gonna take off my shirt so you can see what my hips are doing. We wanna have a neutral, and we're just gonna sort of polish off the back of the legs. You can have your toes tucked or not. I like to have my toes pointed just because it feels nicer for the front of the ankles, but that's purely personal preference. Let me lift the camera a little bit so you can see more of my spine. And at first, I'd like you to place a hand on the low belly and a hand on the chest, or maybe on the low ribs. So no variance in the relationship of these places to each other. We're gonna exhale here and support that line, squeeze the block, and try and lengthen outer hips. And then inhale, tilt forward as you reach your sitting bones back just a little. We're not gonna sit on our heels, we're just gonna reach back a little. And then exhale, use the back of the hips and thighs to bring yourself fully up to neutral. This is like shoulder bridge. Inhale and exhale. Like shoulder bridge, but instead of going at it from lying on the floor and pressing the hips forward here, now we're starting up and lowering the hips down. Inhale, preserving core integrity and posture. Exhale all the way up. Do 2 more, and we're using, again, a little bit more of the back of the thighs, relaxing into the creases at the front of the hips and freeing up space between the sitting bones, and then exhale here. In your on the knees position, in your neutral hip extension and spine, bring your hands in front of the shoulders, palms pressing forward. Mimicking a push-up, exhale, extend the arms without closing the chest. Use the triceps. Inhale, open the chest, pull the arms back, and exhale, feel the relationship through the back of the legs and the inner thighs. 1 more, inhale, kegel longer, exhale, lower your arms, and finally go stand against a wall or a countertop. We finish here with wall push-ups or countertop push-ups. We're leaning a little into whatever we're leaning onto. In this case, it's a dresser for me. Bend your knees just a little bit, and your body is at a diagonal here. Bend your knees just a little bit. Use the feet into inner thighs, into core and ground as you exhale and stretch the legs and connect into the back chain of hips and thighs. Just once, inhale, lift the heels. And then exhale, lower the heels down, grounding the feet. Now on your inhale, open the chest and bend the elbows. In essence, pulling the hands back toward the shoulders. And then exhale, start with the feet into the legs, into the core, push the arms. Inhale, bend the elbows. And exhale, stretch the arms. Please do 3 more. That's it, you guys. After your last one, push off and just come to standing. Let your arms swing a little bit. Let your neck and shoulders relax. Now with your feet underneath you, find the line between the crown of your head and the arches. Breathe in, down through the feet. Breathe out, up from the feet through the crown. do that 2 more times. Inhale, moving downward. And exhale, moving upward. One more time, relax the outer hips. Soften and open the front of your hips. Ground into the feet, feel the support of your legs. Relax into your core. And then inhale, open your eyes. Exhale, sigh. And you guys, that's it. Good job. Be sure to stretch anything out you need to stretch. Drink your water. I don't know, wash your hands, wear your face mask, take your vitamins.
And pay you?
Yeah.
How do we pay you?
Oh, here, hold on. Let me turn off the recording and